Okay, so finally the tutorial that we have been promising to get to you. And along with this tutorial, I think you're all going to be pleased that the newer set of kits that are coming out are no longer using the tabs and the different link strings for the ties, but that we're moving to a continuous tie like this one. So there are two different types of continuous ties. So not only will I be showing you the basic mask pattern, how to make it, for those of you who have had questions, but also showing you how to attach the continuous ties. We have two different types of fabric that we're using for the ties. The first is this kind of stretchy, it's not quite as stretchy as elastic, but it's pretty stretchy. It's a fabric that was donated to us that we found works very well as a tie because it allows some stretch and give. It also, when we cut it with the laser cutter, and you can see there a little bit of the brown on the edge where the lasers cut it, it actually melts the edges, so therefore it can be washed and it won't fray. So that's a huge benefit to this fabric as a tie. The other thing that we are starting to use now, and many of you have already used these in your own mask, is using t-shirt material to make ties. Again, t-shirt material is stretchy and it will not fray either. So those are both really nice materials that we now have access to, that we're going to show you how to make the mask using both the t-shirt as the tie or the white fabric, because over the next few weeks the kits you get could have either one of these in the kit. Each of these white ties are 36 inches in length, and the t-shirts will show you how to cut them to make sure that you have at least 36 inches. So that's what we're going to show you how to make. Okay, so to construct the mask, and this first part is exactly like the printed pattern instructions were. We'll first create the mask with the pleats. We're still using the 3 pleats. We'll continue to sew along the 9-inch side. I know that there was confusion initially with, do you sew on the 7-inch side or the 9-inch side, because we had started with the 7-inch and then shifted to the 9-inch. But at this point, we'll just stay with sewing along the 9-inch sides. So the top of the mask and the bottom of the mask will be the 9-inch sides, and the 7-inch side will be the sides of the mask. You do a 1/4-inch seam on both of your 9-inch sides. Flip it over and sew the other 9-inch side, 1/4-inch seam. Clip your threads so that we have nice, neat masks without a bunch of random threads. Okay, so now you have, and those were right sides together. I didn't say that, but just like in the pattern, you sew your right sides together. Then you flip it right side out. So now the right sides are on the outside. And if you want to press this, you can. I'm going to just finger press it a little bit so that I can sew this seam, but you can certainly press that if that helps you to sew a little bit straighter seam. I'm going to now sew a 1/4 inch from the bottom. This will become the bottom of my mask, a 1/4 inch top stitch along one of the 9-inch sides. Now for the other side of the mask, which will become the top of my mask. Again, I'm going to finger press it, or you can press it with an iron. I'm going to make this one between 3/8 and a 1/2 inch. So again, finding the mark on my sewing machine, about 3/8 to a 1/2 inch, and again, that is just so that it makes it easier for us to thread the pipe cleaner through what will now become the top of our mask. So again, top stitch between 3/8 and a 1/2 inch from the sewn edge. Revolve our random threads there. Okay, so now this is the 3/8 inch, 3/8 to a 1/2 inch here. Here's your 1/4 inch seam down here. Now take 6 inches of your pipe cleaner, so you cut your 12-inch pipe cleaner in half to make one 6-inch piece. Turn down each end and just kind of smush it in. We're basically just trying to make sure that that sharp pipe clean, the wire of in the pipe cleaner doesn't poke through the fabric. So we're just bending them down and just kind of smushing them in. Try to make the pipe cleaner straight as you can, but it'll be fine once it gets in there. And then you're going to thread your pipe cleaner into that little pocket that you created like that. Just thread it in. Again, with that bent end, it should go in pretty easily, and with the 3/8 to 5 or 1/2 inch seam, you shouldn't have any trouble sliding it in. And then you can just kind of scooch it along till you get it centered. Sometimes it wants to catch, like mine did, catch on the end there. So I have to pull the edge back up. There we go. But just scooch it along just like you were doing elastic in a casing until you get it about centered with a couple of inches on each side of the pipe cleaner. Next, okay, so all that again is exactly like the written pattern stated. The next thing we're going to do, also just like the written pattern, is make our pleats. And I know a few of you, some of you had some questions about how to make the pleats. Here's how I do them. I just start at the bottom, pick up about a 1/2 inch and fold it down. I'm trying to create about 1/2 inch tuck right there in my pleat. And I have found that then if I pin both edges of this first pleat, works pretty well because I've already got it lined up. I can pin both edges. Then again, you just pinch up about a 1/2 inch above where that pleat ended. Make your second pleat. Pin it on both sides. And I just happen to find that if you kind of pin it going the same direction, you've got plenty of room. It's easy to take it out, even though these pins are not facing out with the head out like I would normally do. It's still very easy to remove the pins as you're going. And then the third pleat, kind of near the top here, and pin it in place. So now you have a pleated edge on both sides that should be about between 3 to 3.5 inches. This one is actually not pleated quite as tightly, so I'm going to scoot it in just a hair so that it matches the other side a little bit better. Okay, so about 3 to 3.5 inches, that width right there. Okay, now at this point, we're ready to put our ties on. Again, we don't have to worry about the tabs and sewing the ties on separately. So we're going to take one of our strips of the white stretchy fabric, and as you notice, we have a wider section here in the middle, and then it gets narrower for the tie part. What I found works best is if you lay your strap down, lay your mask, the back side of the mask, so in my case that's the blue and white side. I'm going to put the back side of the mask against the white strip, and yes, you notice you do have some extra right now on this size strip. We do have some extra on the ends. We may shorten that so that it fits a little bit closer to the size of this mask, but right now you are going to have a little bit extra width right here on both sides of your mask. If you want to put another pin or two to hold it, you can. Just hold that white tie in place. Or you can just kind of hold on to it and move it over to your machine. Now what we're going to do is sew 1/4 inch just from one side of the mask to the other. So we're going to sew from here to here, 1/4 inch from the edge, and all we're doing is attaching the tie to the mask. So go to machine, put it on. So again, all I did was I sewed from there to there 1/4 inch. Now we're going to take, just like you would do a quilt binding, you're going to flip up that tie, wrap it around to the front, and again sew just from the edge of the mask to the other edge of the mask. So we're going to sew from here to here. This time I'm going to go as close to this left edge as I can get my stitching without worrying about, you know, dropping off the edge. You definitely want to make sure that you stitch all the way across on the white. So if you need to go in a little bit further from the edge, that's fine. We definitely want to make sure that the white fabric is secure on the mask. At this point, since this is actually the last seam I'm going to make on this tie, you can go ahead and do a little bit of back stitching at the beginning. Again, if you want to pin it, you can, but I find it's pretty easy to just stretch it a little bit and hold it. Back stitch there at the end. And there's that side. That's what it looks like on the back. Oh, sorry, got a little bit of a loop there, didn't I? Get rid of those extra threads. That's what the back looks like, and that's what the front looks like. Now we'll repeat that on the other side. Again, lay my white stretchy fabric down, put the back side of the mask against the fabric. Quarter of an inch from the edge. This time you're going, now I'm going against the pleats, so just make sure that your pleats stay down as you're sewing over them. Okay, I've now attached the tie to the mask. I'm going to flip it over like that. Bring it under the machine. Again, starting right there at the edge. Take a couple of stitches, do a back stitch, grab a hold of my tie, my white fabric, and then go ahead and sew to the edge of the mask and back stitch just a hair. If you sew off of the mask and onto the white, that's fine. I mean, again, it's now just moving back to that more narrow section, so that's fine. Just sew it like that. I'm going to clip these threads, and our mask is finished. So again, I think you'll find that this is not only easier to do, but quicker to do. Here's my wires up here at the top. There's my mask. That's what it looks like on the front. This is what it looks like on the back. And we're finished. Now let me show you how to make it using the t-shirt tie. I have another mask here that I've prepared. Again, this is my back is the blue and white, and my front is the coffee material. Okay, so these t-shirt loops that I have, as you can see, this is from the body of the t-shirt, so it forms a complete circle. Cut one side of that circle in half, cut it so that now you have one long strip, and it should be about 36 inches. It's going to depend a little bit on the size of the t-shirt and how stretchy the fabric is, but it should be about 36 inches. If it's a little bit more, that's okay. If it's a little bit under, again, don't worry about it. We're going to end up with plenty. But all of these t-shirts are creating a single piece of t-shirt fabric that'll be enough to make the ties for this mask. Again, do that on the other second one. I'm going to clip it in half, and I have a t-shirt. As you see here, I've got some of the screen print from the front of the t-shirt. Don't worry about that. That does fine. When we stretch it to curl it, it'll work just fine. So don't worry about if you've got screen printing. Not a big deal at all. Okay, so now to attach these t-shirt ties, we want to figure out what is the back side of the t-shirt. I mean, if you've got a screen print, it's pretty easy to tell. But the way you can tell that is if you hold your t-shirt tie, hold it up so that you find about the middle of the t-shirt tie, and give it a little stretch just right there in the middle, and see how the edges are starting to curl. That means that the side that the edges curl away from is actually the wrong side of the t-shirt fabric. Again, if you've got logo, you can see that it's the same side that would be the inside or the wrong side of the t-shirt. Okay, now take your t-shirt fabric, and with that wrong side of the t-shirt that was going, you know, where the curling is going away from, just lie it down and put your mask, again, the wrong side of your mask, the back side of your mask, your underneath side of the mask, lay it against that t-shirt tie. And again, if you want to put a couple of pins in it just to hold it to the t-shirt, you can do so, or you can just hold it, take it over to your machine. We're going to do the same thing as we did with the white tie. We're going to just stitch 1/4 of an inch just from edge to edge of the mask. Okay, there we go, 1/4 of an inch from the edge. T-shirt is attached like this. Okay, now let that t-shirt wrap around, and you can see how it's already starting to kind of curl under. Just turn it under once, about 1/4 of an inch, and then again, and it will just nicely cover the end of the mask. And again, we're just going to sew from edge to edge on the mask. As close as we can to this inside edge of the t-shirt, but making sure we stay on the t-shirt and not dropping off onto the mask and missing the t-shirt. So again, this is the last stitch, the last sewing I will make on this side of the mask. So we'll start off and we'll do a little bit of a back stitch. And then sew all the way down the edge. You definitely want to make sure that you've caught your t-shirt edge, and so you don't have a loose edge. But if you sew about that far from this inside edge, you should easily be catching that t-shirt, the section that you turned under. So let's do it on the other side. So again, we're going to take this t-shirt, I'm going to hold it in the middle, I'm going to stretch just a little bit, and see that this is the wrong side of my t-shirt based on the way it's curling. I'm going to lay the t-shirt down, lay my mask, the back of my mask, on top of the wrong side of that t-shirt, come over to the machine. attach the tie to the first seam is attaching the t-shirt to the mask. Flip it over, tuck under an edge about 1/4 of an inch, roll it on over on top of the t-shirt, and sew that final seam. A little bit of a back stitch. A back stitch. Okay, and you are done. Much easier than dealing with the tabs, and much less fray than we had with any of the other fabric ties that we had. So again, this is what it looks like on the front. This is what it looks like on the back. Now you've got, okay, so now that we have our t-shirt ties attached to both sides of the mask, then we will finish off by completing the mask here with this one last very simple step. Hold your mask right here where the t-shirt tie exits the mask, and give your tie a really good firm tug. It's okay to pull it as far as it'll let you pull it. Tie a knot in the tie, and you're done. So again, do this on all 4 sides. Tie a knot. Depending on how large or small your t-shirt was, your tie from where it exits the mask to the end should be around 18 to 20 inches probably, which will give plenty of length for most adults. They can always cut the t-shirt shorter if they want to, because again, there's no concern about fraying even after it's washed. So we're just going to pull them, give them a firm tug, tie a knot in the end, and then we'll let the user determine exactly how long they want their tie to be. So there you go. There's your t-shirt, your mask with the t-shirt ties. So now we have our 2 masks that we've made with either the white ties or the t-shirt ties. If you have questions about any of these instructions, go to dfwsewing@urbanspools.com and send your question over to Urban Spools, and they'll be happy to respond and to get you help you get you an answer to your question, help get you on your way. Thank you again for making masks with us, and we hope that you find this tutorial helpful, and that you find that these new ties much easier to work with. Thank you.